So the way I look at the debate is not really as a catalyst for a huge swing one way or another in how voters are going to actually cast their ballots. There's been a bunch of research that shows that it tends to not be determinative of how a voter is going to vote based off their experience in watching a debate. So what I'm looking for are the promises that the two candidates essentially force each other to make, or that one of the two candidates decides to capitalize on a public proclamation to try to gauge out what policy will actually look like should one or the other win. So the two things I'm looking for in this case are around China trade and around the legislative filibuster. So China trade, Trump is really tough on China. Will Biden be as tough as Trump? The debate could actually move Biden towards a Trump position if Trump is saying you're not going to be as tough on China and Biden has to defend himself. On the legislative filibuster, This is a procedural, kind of boring thing that happens in D.C., but it basically runs how the Senate can actually operate. And if you remove this legislative filibuster, then you only need 51 senators, so a simple majority of senators to pass policy, which would mean that every 2 to 4 years we could have really big policy changes. If Joe Biden endorses a legislative filibuster tonight, that would be a really big deal to me.
And Stephanie, on China trade, like you've suggested, there may not be that much space between the two candidates that it matters for the near term. But on the filibuster, I think you're really on. I wrote about this a week ago, but this is a real eye-opener. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear Trump talk about, and he's kind of laid out what that could mean. All of a sudden you could get adding Obamacare one election cycle, then repealing it the next, then adding it the next cycle. I mean, that would be the kind of quote unquote certainty that the market would hate. There's something to be said for gridlock, kind of intentionally gumming up the works to build a broader consensus so that we're not seeing companies subject to these major policy swings every couple of years. So the other issues like adding D.C. statehood, Puerto Rico statehood, I mean, I don't know, but this could end up being one area where there's a clear difference between the two. And I wonder if that sets investors on edge if they really kind of think through what the implications of losing the filibuster could be. But that would take a Democratic Senate too, right?
Absolutely. And again, the reason why Democrats are saying that they want to do this right now, Democrats in the Senate are saying they want to do this, is in retribution for what they feel is extraordinarily unfair moving a Supreme Court nomination through, because the executive calendar in the Senate where nominations are handled, already they got rid of that 60 vote threshold. So what they're talking about is like, if you get to do whatever you want and, in our job as hiring manager for the president, then we get to do whatever we want if we win on legislation. And both sides will capitalize on it. If it goes away, it just won't matter who's in the majority. Policies will swing back and forth, which I think would be a nightmare for the market.
Stephanie, in terms of the stock market over the next couple of days, I'm curious what your take would be if tonight there is a clear winner on the one hand, or on the other hand, that it descends into a food fight debacle and Americans go, what in the world have we gotten ourselves into?
Yeah, both seem like reasonably likely outcomes. I think what the worst case for either candidate, and right now I think Trump is more at risk of this, is to be constantly playing defense rather than offense. Both have ideas of what they want to do in the future. Trump has a 4-year track record as president. So what they both need to be doing is saying, here's what value I'm going to deliver for you, John Q. voter. If both are defending themselves constantly and fighting, it's going to feel very disorganized and scattered. I think the market likes certainty, so Trump provides certainty. If Trump, has a stellar performance, I'm sure the market will react incrementally positively. The market doesn't hate Biden, but just hates change. And the more that it feels like there will be change, I think it would be more of a negative.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.